Ratios are a way of describing the relationship between two quantities. In particular, a ratio describes a multiplicative relationship between two quantities. Okay, what on earth does that mean? Let's pay attention for a second to this word, multiplicative. All right, we know what that means. That means something that has to do with multiplication and division. Right? Multiplicative has to do with multiplication. But I haven't really told you what a ratio is. I've only told you what it's used for. Now I can tell you what it looks like. The ratio of A to B is A over B. So let me give you a specific example. Suppose that Alice has 3 cats and 2 dogs. Then the ratio of cats to dogs is 3 to 2, or 3 over 2. How does that describe a multiplicative relationship? This means that we must multiply the number of dogs by 3 halves to get the number of cats. And in fact, we see that 3 halves multiplied by the number of dogs is the number of cats. Okay, so why is this useful? There are many situations in which we'll want to use a ratio, but one of the most obvious ones is a situation in which we know a ratio and the value of one quantity, and we want to find the value of the other. So, for example, suppose that a recipe tells us that we must use 5 parts flour for every 3 parts butter. That is, that the ratio of flour to butter should be 5 to 3, or 5 over 3, 5/3. If we use 2 cups of butter, then how much flour should we use? Well, the ratio tells us that we must multiply the amount of butter by 5/3 to get the amount of flour. So we would multiply 5/3 times 2, so 5/3 times 2 over 1, or 10/3. Typically when we want to measure things in the kitchen, we want a mixed number, so we could convert that to the mixed number 3 1/3. In this example, we must use 3 1/3 cups of flour. So let's take a look at how we phrase these ratios. That phrase, the ratio of flour to butter, could mean 2 things. It could simply refer to the fraction amount of flour over amount of butter, or it could refer to the number we must multiply the amount of butter by in order to get the amount of flour. In either case, it's important to note that the order in which we refer to the 2 quantities matters.